Good morning, everyone. We're just letting everyone into the webinar and we will start in just a moment. How are we doing, Georgia? Have we got any more to go?
I think that's everyone for the moment.
Right. Okay. Good, right, so if we can take the slide off the screen, perfect, thank you. And Jeremy, you are ready? We'll
yeah,
make a start. Thank you.
My Lord Lieutenant, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. My name is Jeremy Bishop, and for those of you who haven't met me, I'm the chairman of the Hertfordshire Chamber of Commerce. This morning, you're going to hear from a number of our valuable supporters, Mr. Robert Voss, the Lord Lieutenant of Hertfordshire, Mark Breton, chairman of Hertfordshire LEP, Will Arndt, deputy head at the Queen's Award Office, and Sarah Minnie, social media and stakeholder manager, also from the Queen's Award Office, plus some Hertfordshire-based winners of the Queen's Award, two of which won their Queen's Award last year and one who won their award back in 2018. The Queen's Award for Enterprise are highly prestigious awards given in recognition of outstanding achievement by UK businesses across the following four categories: innovation, international trade, sustainable development, and promoting opportunity through social mobility. Today, we're going to show you that there's a great opportunity and a great advantage to your business in winning one of these important awards. We'll show you that the Queen's Award for Enterprise is absolutely about you and your businesses, more now than perhaps ever before. We also want to help you through the process and ensure you achieve the recognition that you and your business deserve. We want you to know that the award is really accessible to you and everybody in your organisation. The Hertfordshire Chamber of Commerce's simple objective is to increase the number of Hertfordshire businesses that win this award. You're also going to hear a lot about the Hertfordshire Chamber of Commerce's Queen's Award workshops. These are specifically designed to benefit you and assist you and your business through the process of applying for, and I sincerely hope, to win this renowned business award. Achieving the Queen's Award will definitely elevate your brand. It will drive significant internal external recognition for your business. It will propel your business and its reputation to new heights. A Queen's Award really is a true mark of excellence. Thank you very much, and I'd like to hand over now to Mark Breton from the Hertfordshire LEP.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to share some slides. Can I just make sure, please, that everybody can see them okay? I think they can. Yes, good morning. Thanks, Jeremy, and Lord Lieutenant Robert. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. All I can do really is echo what Jeremy said about the importance of these awards and the opportunity that these present to you and the county. As business people, we're always looking for wallet share with our customers, and Hertfordshire has a fantastic record of achieving some supreme results with these awards, and I know that Lord Lieutenant will talk a little bit about that, I'm sure, in a few moments. As Jeremy said, I'm the chair of the Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership. I'm also chair of the LEP network. That's the national body that brings all 38 LEPs together across England. And we are essentially the government's growth engine, bringing together local government, further and higher education, third and voluntary sector, and led by business. And those of you who have heard me speak before or have caught up with us will know that, and particularly since I took over the network back in September 19, we've been having an existential fight for survival to determine and ensure that there is a long-term role for business in growth and growth plans across the country. You will have picked up back in February that the government launched the Levelling Up White Paper. And we were delighted to see, and we were given pre-briefing by ministers on the paper the night before, that there is a long-term role for local enterprise partnerships, reflected in a slightly different way, which I'll talk about in just a minute, but a really important step forward for us. And I think recognition of the huge amount of work that's been done by over 2,000 business people, over 300 higher and further education leaders, 200 local authority leaders, and 1,000 employees in England, particularly in the last 2 years of the pandemic. The work that we've done with our growth hubs, where we collaborate with the Chamber and with the university to provide excellent services to businesses. I know Rashid gave us a great quote as part of his Queen's Award win, which I'm sure he'll talk about a bit later on. But this is an important step forward for us and a real important part of evolving our role. We have a very strong strategic role now to play in developing what's going to happen in the country here, and our role in Hertfordshire as well, to continue to leverage the supreme economic evidence base that we've created. We probably have the most forensic understanding of the local economy, along with some colleagues, but the most forensic understanding of our economy in the country, which allows us to do a number of things, in particular, to put proper plans and relevant plans in contact and in place, and then to measure as good business-led organisations the success of those plans. And if you look across the county, you'd have seen some fantastic developments in Stevenage, right across a number of different town centre regeneration activities with skills programs and so on. And these have been a great success, not just in attracting local business, but look at what we've done in attracting international trade, particularly in life sciences, in technology, in aerospace and defence, and in film and TV media, where billions of pounds across those industries have been brought together, encouraged again by the role of the local enterprise partnerships. We're also going to have a role in devolution deals, and I sit on the Hertfordshire Growth Board to ensure that the voice of business is an integral part of what goes forward. And any local authority coming to the table with government with a Devo deal has to demonstrate that they have a strong role for business. We will do a number of different things now compared to what we were doing before. Previously, we were quite heavily capital intensive. Those big infrastructure programs, in Hertfordshire, we've had over 300 million of public funds to deliver our services, 20 billion across the country. We're going to amend that very slightly now. Those programs are beginning to tail off. They still need to be delivered. But we're going to start ensuring and continue to ensure that that voice of business is heard in these local plans, that we're providing the right environment along with our colleagues for business growth, to get startups to move, to get skills underway, and to put real focus in those sectors and to support those Devo deals. Turning now to Hertfordshire, the economy is showing very strong signs of recovery. We forecast some quite grim unemployment statistics, and you've seen in the country actually earlier in the week that employment actually for the first time for many, many years is showing more vacancies than there are people out of work. Clearly that's distributed slightly differently, but our unemployment figures are not looking too bad. Clearly any unwanted unemployment isn't a good thing, but just the fact that we've been able to put in quite a lot of stimulus into the economy to look and see local growth is a very important part of our role here. But the one thing that does concern us, and the one thing which we're very keen to see from these awards, is to encourage more startups. We've seen more businesses dropping out than have been born, and some constraints, particularly as a result of permitted development with lack of grow on space. So we must continue to be proactive. We have an ambitious programme to deliver, whether that's in economic strategy intelligence, whether that's in business growth, whether that's in determining local skills priorities, or in those sectors that I mentioned a little earlier. And the LET will be at the forefront of working with our stakeholders to see that through. Our operational plan will be coming to the board in the forthcoming board meeting in June. So you still expect to see a great contribution from the Hertfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership. So that's really all I wanted to say this morning. Just again to provide our firm sponsorship for the awards, to really encourage you to take part in this. And now what I'd like to do is to hand over to Lord Lieutenant Robert Voss to take over from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mark, and good morning, everybody. I will be very brief because I think it's far more important you hear from particularly the previous winners as well as the representatives from the Queen's Award office. So the Queen's Award Enterprise, I think firstly I would point out, is the only Queen's Award that is self-nominated, and that is quite important. All the others have to be nominated, some of them without the nominee being notified. They were first introduced in 1966, actually in a warrant of 1965, but first presented in 1966 as the Queen's Award, excuse me, to industry. And in 1999, they changed to the Queen's Award to Enterprise. There have been about, and I'm sure you'll hear the exact figures from the colleagues from the Queen's Award office, but there have been something like 6,700 winners since 1966, which is a fairly small number. And I think in 2022, this year, there were 232 winners. If you think of the number of businesses, even in Hertfordshire, it is not even a drop in the ocean. There are 4 categories, and again, I'm sure you'll hear these again, but just briefly: international trade, which has traditionally been the largest category, innovation, sustainable development, and promoting opportunity through social mobility, which was introduced a couple of years ago. The awards are valid for 5 years, and again, I won't go through the actual details. What I will say is that what a lot of people don't understand is the vast majority of winners are SMEs. I visit a number of companies and a lot of them say to me, well, I can't enter, I'm too small. Absolutely not true. I have presented to companies with 4 employees. Similarly, I presented to companies with thousands of employees, but the vast majority, I think all bar 2 of those that I've presented over the last 4.5 years have been SMEs. And in all different sectors. One of the most interesting, I know you're all interesting, but one very interesting, should I say, was the world's leading renovator of Ferraris. I did politely remind him that occasionally it is a good idea to present the Lord Lieutenant with a significant gift or something that represents your business, and they very kindly presented me with a book. I was waiting for a Ferrari but didn't get it. But from them, as I say, in all different sectors, though all the sectors that Mark has alluded to have all been winners over the past year. And it's fascinating for me and for my deputy lieutenants, and I know one deputy lieutenant is on the call with us, to actually go and visit these companies once they have won and to see what they're doing. We don't just want to go and hand over an award, we want to actually see what you have done, how you have won it, and talk to you about the award itself. Traditionally, in the last 2 years, so should I say 2020 and 2021, Hertfordshire has done very well with the awards. We won 9 in 21, we won 8 in 2020, which sounds a small number when you consider there are only about 220 or 230 throughout the whole of the UK. It's actually quite significant. This year, I'm sorry to say we haven't done so well. We've only had 3 awards. And perhaps our friends from the Queen's Award office will tell us whether things have tightened up or whether the criteria have become a lot more stringent. It's very important that Hertfordshire retains, should I say, its place as not only the county of opportunity, but the county of entrepreneurship. We really are an entrepreneurial county. When you look at the huge number of businesses registered in the county, when you look at the variety of businesses, the diversity of businesses, and you look at those that are coming forward. We've recently opened the Enterprise Hub at the University of Hertfordshire, and I'm delighted that it was from day one absolutely packed solid with new startups, and that is so important for us. And there's no reason why relatively new companies shouldn't apply. I run a Lord Lieutenant's Entrepreneurs Challenge, which takes place next weekend at the county show, and that itself has grown. And again, it demonstrates a vast diversity and variety of businesses that we have in Hertfordshire. The winners, those who have actually succeeded, all tell me, I think all bar none, have actually said what a cathartic exercise it has been to go through their own business and actually determine where they are succeeding, where they have holes, where they're missing. So even those who have not been successful have found it a very useful and cathartic exercise. We've had some regular winners. Wilmot Dixon, for example, have just, I think, won their 3rd award in different categories. And it's great, actually, to see people applying more than once in different categories. Of course, you can't apply for the same category. I think it's for 3 years, but I may be corrected in a minute. But people will apply in different categories, and actually you can win in more than one in 1 year. So it is a very, very significant award. I think, again, I look forward to hearing from our 3 winners, all of whom I've had the pleasure of presenting to, and hear what their attitude is. But everybody I know who has won, and we see them, we do try and keep in contact with them, have said the very positive impact this has had on their business, whether it's domestic, whether it's international. There's no question seeing an award with the name of Her Majesty the Queen, particularly this year, is something hugely significant around the globe and should not be underestimated. I think that's probably all I'm going to say by way of introduction. I really do encourage people. The one thing I would say is I'm always amazed how few companies actually apply for the Queen's Award. I looked it up, and I think the average is something like 600 or 700 companies out of the millions, and I do say millions around the whole of the UK, and the hundreds of thousands, or certainly the many thousands we have here in Hertfordshire. So I would encourage more companies, particularly SMEs, to look at it, to decide, to consider it, to talk to the winners, and I'm sure all the winners would be happy offline to talk to any of you, to see the benefits and the positive effect it's had on their business, their employees, their future employees, because people always like to join a winning company. I cannot overestimate that, should I say. It's a huge benefit to companies, and I would urge all of you to give it consideration and talk to others to try and nominate yourselves for what is probably the most significant and well-respected business award, not only in this country, but I would dare to suggest around the world. So on that note, it's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Minney and Will Arndt from the Queen's Award Office of the Department of Business, Energy and Industrial Strategy.
Thank you so much, Robert, and thank you everyone for having us to speak to you today. Sorry, I'll just clear my throat. So today we're here to talk to you about the Queen's Awards and what they are, how you can apply, and various other bits and bobs. So as Robert said previously, the Queen's Awards for Enterprise are the most prestigious awards for UK businesses, and it is a globally recognised royal seal of approval for UK companies. Since the award's inception by Harold Wilson and Prince Philip in 1965, more than 7,000 businesses or organisations have won a Queen's Award. A bit more about background. So as it was mentioned earlier, there's 4 categories. Innovation, for which we want to hear why your innovation is unique and how it has benefited your business, customers and others. It's important for us to know what issue your innovation has solved and what challenges you have overcome in developing or distributing it. Another good question to ask yourself when filling out an application for the innovation category is, has your innovation been adopted by others in your sector or perhaps in another sector? Moving on to the next category, international trade. If you're applying for international trade, tell us about your export strategy and explain why penetration of a particular market is an achievement. Narrative you should be providing in your application is whether you're the first, leading or fastest growing UK exporter in this market, or what challenges have affected your trade and how you have overcome them. The next category, sustainable development. For this category, it's important to demonstrate that your company and or senior decision makers are leading the way in your sector or community and how they have overcome important challenges that are specific to your sector. We urge businesses to look at the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals to see how they can embed sustainability at the heart of their business, not just reduce, reuse, recycle. The final category, promoting opportunity through social mobility, recognises businesses and organisations that are providing high quality social mobility initiatives and programmes that specifically reach out and support people from disadvantaged backgrounds in order to inspire and guide the best talent into their organisation and beyond. For this category, assessors and judges want to see how has the work benefited your organisation, community, staff or workforce, and how has your organisation benefited the participants of the scheme or product that you've provided, and improved employability of the people engaged in your programme. I'd like to move on to speak a little bit about the eligibility criteria. So, as was mentioned earlier, the Queen's Awards for Enterprise is a self-nominating process and is open to almost all businesses across the UK of any size and in any sector. There are a few eligibility criteria which are applicable to all, and then there's some slightly more specific ones dependent on which category you're applying for. But the basic ones are: you must be based in the UK, you must have a good continuous compliance record with HMRC and other Her Majesty's government organisations, for example, the Food Standards Agency or the Health and Safety Executive. You must be a self-contained enterprise. Now, by what I mean by that is essentially, and I'll use Tesco's as an example. They haven't won an award as far as I'm aware, but if you think of Tesco Family Dining, which runs the cafes for Tesco's, they are a self-contained unit, but are part of the wider Tesco's family who run the supermarket. So that sort of, you can be part of a larger conglomerate and you can be owned by someone else, but you need to have your own management structure and be separate. Another thing you must have is at least 2 full-time UK employees or part-time equivalents. So you could have 4 people doing half a week or similar, but whatever sort of way it works out, dependent on your business. And you must also, for each category, be able to demonstrate good corporate social responsibility. Your organisation can be a business or a non-profit, and each award category does have its own eligibility criteria, like I mentioned earlier. These can be found in full on the Queen's Awards for Enterprise pages on the .gov.uk website, which are linked at the end of our slides. I'll hand over to Sarah now to continue the presentation.
Thank you, Will. So the most recent winners announced as part of Her Majesty the Queen's birthday celebrations are the UK's businesses leading the way in a broad range of industries, from the creative industries to agri-tech solutions, sustainable food production to innovative electrical components. In total, 232 awards were issued across all 4 categories. The geographical representation is shown on the map here on the slides. Companies can apply for more than one Queen's Award in the same year, and indeed this year we have 7 double winners. It is worth noting that 90% of this year's winners were small or medium-sized businesses, and 35 winners had less than 10 employees. I would therefore emphasise strongly that we very much welcome applications from both small businesses as well as larger companies. And this year we did have, as previously said, 3 winners from Hertfordshire. As you can see, the largest amount of awarded are within international trade, and it is there that we receive the highest number of applications. Every year, in conjunction with the Palace, Number 10 and our judging panels, the scheme implements changes to the award eligibility and processes. These changes have resulted in us seeing an increase in not only applications, but the quality of applications across all 4 categories. And now to get on to the exciting part. Each winning company is formally presented with a grant of appointment scroll by Her Majesty's Lord Lieutenant, the Queen's personal representative. The Queen's Awards for Enterprise presentation ceremonies are a great way for the whole company to enjoy the celebrations and be recognised for their success. These ceremonies normally take place from around July onwards. And then one representative from each winning organisation is also invited to attend a Buckingham Palace reception. We love to see and hear about how our winners are celebrating the awards. And if you do take a look at our social media, you can see more about our current winners and get inspiring case studies from previous winners. Just pass over for Will to talk about the top tips on applying. Oh, you're on mute, Will.
Apologies, we would have thought after 2 years I would have remembered to take myself off mute. Here are some top tips which we'd like to share with all of you. So the first thing to do, even if you don't end up applying for the awards, is actually registering on the online system, because you'll be able to download a PDF of all of the application forms which you would be interested in applying in, which means you can plan and sort of delegate where you or who you would like to fill out certain sections. Another thing to note as well is that you will need to have 2 collaborators, so the person who's logging into the account initially, and they will have to delegate one collaborator, which comes back to our two full-time employees thing, which I mentioned earlier. The next thing is, when you're completing your application, is to use plain English. Winning applications manage to avoid technical jargon, and the application must be easy to read and understand to assessors, even if they are not necessarily experts in the sector in which you work. Now, another really maybe sort of obvious point is to provide evidence, both qualitative and quantitative, to support all of your statements. And this will really bolster your case and sort of allow the assessors and the panel judges and eventually the Prime Minister and Her Majesty the Queen to assess your application and see that it's fantastic and that we would like to give you an award. And I really can't emphasize enough how important it is to tell your story in your own words. We want to hear about your personal journey. Why did you start your business? And the key drivers for you in making your business successful. Another thing to be aware of is it's worth allowing yourself sufficient time to complete the applications. So we opened on the 1st of May and we will close on the 6th of September, but it does take on average about 28 hours to complete, we've worked out. But that's not with going back and checking things and having a look at other bits and bobs and waiting for other people to get things done. So we would say, you know, if you want to apply, start now to give yourself the most time possible. Moving on. Almost all UK businesses, including non-profits, can apply. The application process is free and all applications must be made online. You may apply for more than one category in a year. And as I mentioned, the round for the 2023 Queen's Awards for Enterprise is open currently and closes on the 6th of September. Further information on the eligibility criteria for each individual award can be found by following the links attached to the slides, which will be shared after. So I will now speak about apologies. My screen has crashed. There we go, it's back. So we now want to talk a little bit about applying for a Queen's Award in 2023. So we do appreciate that businesses may have been affected in many shapes and forms in light of the recent geopolitical events. Therefore, during these uncertain times, it's important to ensure we still celebrate British business. To support this, we have made some positive amendments in the application process to ensure applicants are able to provide appropriate evidence to support their application. For the 2023 round, the eligibility criteria remains unchanged, but applicants can now manually input financial figures for each year, enabling them to wind back a year if their last financial year has been affected by the volatile market, which many companies have experienced over the last couple of years. Alternatively, you may prefer to submit figures over a shorter period of time, for example, 3 years instead of 6 for international trade, or 2 years rather than 5 for the innovation category. Also, we've granted greater discretion to our assessors to evaluate commercial excess and challenges by uncontrollable external factors. They will also take into account sector-specific effects of the pandemic and will not compare one application against the other. I think that's really important to highlight. You're not in competition with anyone else for the awards, only with yourself. And it's important for us to still see the trends and patterns of each business's commercial success, to see how well they performed before these challenging times. I'll hand back to Sarah to close us off.
Thank you, Mel. So it's just to say that we're a very small, friendly team of 5, and we're here to help. So whether that's by talking you through an application form, the process, or helping with an IT system issue, please feel free to call us or email us using the contact details that are on this slide here, and that will be sent out to you. For further information, our blog includes tips on how to develop a successful application, along with inspirational case studies from our winners. If you do have any questions, we're happy to answer them later on in this webinar, or alternatively, you can always contact us at the Queen's Awards office. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed to both Sarah and Will there, indeed to our speakers before then as well. My name is John Woodruff. Those who don't know me, I'm the Head of International Trade and Policy at Herts Chamber. So I'm just the link man now to bring in 3 previous winners, as we mentioned earlier. If I may, without further ado, turn to Mahmoud Fahadrishan, who's founder and executive director at Silica, who won the Innovation Award in 2021. Mahmoud, over to you, please.
Good morning, Lord Lieutenant Robert Bose, and good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mahmoud Farhadi Roshan. I'm co-founder of and executive director of Silixa. Just to give you a brief introduction about the company, Silixa was formed in 2007. We specialize in technology and innovation operating across several industries. The company, as I mentioned, started in 2007 from my garage. So in fact, in 2008, when there was a recession, because we had some track record in industry, people were asking, how is the company going, the new company? And we said everything is fine because we had nothing to sell. So, but for building the business, you need time, you need incubations, and you need plan. So, we formed the company in my garage, and with 3 of us, Tom Parker, who's our CTO, and Sergey Shatelin, which is our chief scientist. And also later on, we were joined by Mr. Yomi Amungukaro, which is now our CFO. So, building the team was very important for us. We are now 130 people. We have an office in Elstree, but also we have 2 offices in the US, but we operate internationally. Silixa, has developed distributed fiber optic sensing solutions, which allows you to acquire data, such as temperature, strain, and more importantly now acoustics at along tens of kilometers of optical fiber. So you could actually use fiber to detect and listen to acoustic signals, vibrations, and we find quite a lot of new applications. And in fact, at the beginning, it was very difficult to mention, what we can do with the fiber, because as soon as you realize the potential of this technology, there's so many applications. But as a business, we have to focus on some of the key ones, and there's always, room for expansion. So one of our flagship projects currently is our installation in Gulf of Mexico with BP and the partners. And this is for permanent reservoir monitoring, where there is no other technology could be deployed. This is deep water, where there's a high temperature, high pressure. Electronic systems would be difficult to implement, and you have a very long tie back to the shore. So this is now was on the planning for several years, and this year we completed installation in number of wells, and we acquired some data. And the other applications that we see, this technology has been used, that the fiber optics has been deployed across many areas, including Atlantic Ocean, around your buildings, around the campuses. So we can actually use current fiber optic system and measure ground motions and vibrations. And there's a lot of increasing applications for air science, and such as monitoring earthquakes. And the next step, for me at least, and perhaps for Silixa, is putting some fiber on the moon. We have a lot of interest from Gravitational Wave Observatory, because they want to measure gravitational wave strains across the space. And we think, by putting fibers on the moon, we might be able to achieve this goal. So, but one of the interesting things with technology is also combining the science with business, because when we have applications, you have a sense of achievement. Queen's Award is, I believe, the most prestigious business award. And it's very important when you actually win the award, you really get a sense of achievement. I know that you're applying for it, you have to put the information together, but when actually you hear that you won the award, it creates a great sense of achievement within your organizations, and brings a lot of value to your business. Is a massive boost to the staff morale, because they really feel proud being part of an award-winning company and being recognized. You know that your technology is unique. That's why you're in the business. You're making profit, money, but also you're continuously developing things. But once you win the award, it really gives you a sense of achievement and is a great endorsement. And the most important thing, you also get the honor of meeting in person Lord Lieutenant Robert Woos, and he would come to your premises with his sword, and you will have a great time with your staff. So thank you very much, Robert. We really enjoyed your presence. The staff were very proud having you there, and the whole occasion was a fantastic experience. And the other thing is you need to celebrate success, and this is very important. And winning the Queen's Award is really brings it to another stage for us. I would say that we would like to continue, obviously, our engagement with Queen's Award associations. We also work with different government departments, and if there is anything that we can do to provide any guidance, help, please contact me. I would be more than happy to share our experience with all of you. And thank you very much.
Mahmoud, that was brilliant. Thank you so much. I was going to say, if you can get fibers to the moon, we might have to have a new category, Interstellar Award or something, but that's great. Thank you so much for that. Next speaker, Rashid Lalu, Chief Executive at the Premiership Models, and they won the International Trade Award 2021. Over to you, Rashid. You're on mute, Rashid. Easily done.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Rashid Lalu, and I am the CEO, as John mentioned, of Premiership Models. Thank you to all of those who spoke before me, and hopefully for those of you listening in on this, you're already excited about becoming a lucky recipient of this award.
Rashid, sorry, you're a little bit quiet. I don't know if there's anything you can do with the volume. I don't know if anyone else is finding that, but it's a bit quiet there.
I am on maximum volume. Can you hear
okay.
me? Can you hear me? Is it any better?
Not great. I don't know about anybody else, but please carry on anyway. So here we go.
Okay. I'm not sure why the volume is not too good. I do apologize. Sorry about this. I'll start again. So we are a 20-year-old company. We're an SME. As Lord mentioned, don't let the fact that you're an SME put you off the application process. I think a lot of us think it's a very, very difficult process, and therefore we get put off at the outset. I would strongly recommend you discount the fact of being an SME, and you do apply. We won the Queen's Award for Enterprise in the category of international trade, and we've exported goods so far to about 85 countries. Reason for that success, I suppose, is that we joined the digital bandwagon very early on, about 20 years ago as an SME, and that's enabled us to export to a lot of countries, hence the application into the international trade section. We specialize in making ship models, but nowadays we're now expanding into other types of models. So we also make models of planes and cars and anything else that clients decide to approach us on. We have a very interesting client base, which is either made up of clients who want to buy the kits to make the model themselves. That went for an absolute boom during the COVID period, and online orders doubled for the kits internationally and in the UK. And then we have clients who have interest in getting a model for their office or their house. So it's a ready-made model. The highest end of our business is the corporate sector, and these would be companies in the museum sector, oil and gas, any company in shipping or maritime or yachting industry. Our success is partly due to the fact that the maritime sector is a huge multi-billion sector. In terms of why you should, suppose you should enter the award, I think there's been a lot said about that already. From a perspective of an SME and someone who's won it before, I would say be aware that you can use the award for 5 years. Most awards that you win is usually an award for 1 year, and this one you as a business can use it for 5 years. When we were first approached to apply for this award, to be quite honest with you, we went for a polite decline, and we thought there'd be too much work involved, that we're not big enough to apply for this award, etc. We were very lucky. We had a lot of support along the way that convinced us to apply for the award. There was a company that had worked with us on a different matter altogether, decided we should apply for it. A chap's called Roger. He then kept insisting that we should apply for this, even though we had initially declined this on the mistaken ground. So we would not win it, or it'd be too difficult, etc. And Roger then put us in contact with a chap called Graham, and Graham did a lot of the application for us. So for those of you who may not have enough time, you can also get external support in the application process. And then we had a lot of help from Amanda on the financial side and the cost of getting external help. So all of these was a driving factor for us to apply for to be part of that process. There's a fair amount of paperwork, and there's due diligence, and that's worth bearing in mind. And also your accountant should be part of the process, and you will need to communicate with your accountant should you be shortlisted, because the Queen's Office will be checking all the financial figures that you've provided. In terms of time from your business, you will need input from people in your sales and marketing department, people in your finance department, and obviously the time of your CEO. In terms of how you would benefit from the award, I would say for us as Premiership Models, it's the impact on our international clientele. It sets us apart from other model companies, and we have a lot of clients in North America and Middle East. So for us, that's a strength that we now leverage on in terms of using the award. We recently put our highest ever bid for a tender in UAE, and we separated the award on our tender as on its own page, as opposed to a few other awards we had won in the process. We've been shortlisted for this award, and we'd like to think that hopefully the Queen's Award had something to do with that. It obviously raises awareness with your business, but also with your supply chain, which makes it much easier to talk to to anyone who supplies you any kind of good and service into your business, including your banks and anyone else who is involved with you financially. You get invited to a lot of business functions, such as, for example, this one. You get emails from parties that you never even knew about that seem to now know you. which is absolutely great for networking and increasing the profile of your business. I would say use the award, advertise it in any way, in any shape that you can. Use social a lot in terms of the impact of the award on your business. As Mahmoud said, I'd be more than happy to be contacted afterwards to advise anyone on the process from an SME point of view of applying for this award. More than happy to provide my time. And I just got reminded listening to Lord Lieutenant Robert Voss that I do need to make a model of the Reaver for someone. So yes, please do apply for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, Rashid. Encouraging words there, and good to see you had the support as well, which I think is very important. So thank you very much for that. Last but by no means least, we have three speakers, three previous winners. Adam Train, Brand Manager, UK Acute Healthcare at Gamma Healthcare, and they won the International Trade in 2018 award. Over to you, Adam.
Thank you very much. So I think my story is probably going to echo the ones that you've heard already. So we're an infection prevention company. So as you can imagine, we've had a couple of busy years. We sell mostly disinfectant products and all that kind of stuff, mostly to the NHS. But if we wind the clock back 5 years when we applied for it, we were very much an SME. We still are an SME, but we were more S than M at the time. We were very successful in the UK and some key markets internationally, but outside of healthcare and outside of the UK, we didn't really have a big brand presence. We didn't really have a big recognition. One of our reasons for applying was obviously to highlight the work that we'd been doing in these key markets, but also, as some of the other speakers have alluded to, when people didn't know us, it was a great piece of endorsement, a great piece of social proof to say, actually, we're not just some company. We've won a Queen's Award. We've been recognised for the growth that we're doing. So when we were looking at bringing on more international distribution partners, that was a really useful thing to be able to point to and say, actually, come and join us on this journey. We've had success. We've been able to demonstrate it so far. Here's some proof for it. And then come along and join us on that trip. I would again totally echo what the guys have said about SMEs. I actually think you're kind of at an advantage as an SME because you know who to go to for all the info. Definitely check the application through in advance because it's quite rigorous compared to some other awards that you might apply for in different industries. But for us, it was a really useful experience. So I kind of headed up doing the application process at the time. And actually, it was really nice to get the international salespeople around the table, the CEO around the table, the finance people around the table, and reflect on what we'd been doing, what was working. So actually, that process in the first place, that gave us some value because you know what it's like. You're doing the day job, everyone's kind of running around with their hair on fire. You don't always have time to sit down and talk about what's going well, why it's working. And actually, the process of applying for this was a really useful excuse to do just that. I think, you know, talking about kind of what we've benefited from winning. I mean, the first most obvious benefit, slightly selfishly, is it wins you some major brownie points with the CEO if you're the person heading up the application. We've still got a framed picture of both of our CEOs shaking hands with Prince Charles, which they proudly display in their office. For us, it was a massive recognition of the work that everyone across the business had done. So again, getting people involved in the application, and we had a little awards committee that we ran as like a cross-company networking group. Actually, that was really beneficial because it took people whose work's really valuable to business, but maybe don't always get the airtime presenting back to the whole company. It gave everyone a kind of chance to feed in, and we had a real celebration when we won. So that was a really nice to be able to feed back to everyone that helped contribute. And as we've kind of noted already, for our employer brand, it was really nice to be able to evidence that we're a growing company. That's one of the things that has worked really well for us as a culture, is attracting people who want to come into a company that's busy and it's growing, and want to get stuck in. So it was another thing to add to that list, to that proof that this isn't just another company. It feels like there's some momentum behind it, and it's a nice evidence. We kind of talked about, obviously, when we go to international trade shows and when we've signed up other distributors, that was a real proof point. Again, so we're not just giving them the kind of hollow sales pitch. There's some substance backing it up and some recognition from, Her Majesty's government that actually we're a company worth putting your trust in. And actually in the UK as well. So whilst our primary motivation was growth internationally and replicating that success, we've obviously grown outside of healthcare with some of our products going into big corporates or into the community or into home use. So again, when we're talking to retailers, one of the things they want to know is that they're working with trustworthy businesses, that they're working with robust supply chains, and anything that you can do to help evidence that and create that feeling of confidence is a massive win. So I'm really proud that from where we were 5 years ago, we're not just market leaders in the UK anymore. We're actually market leaders in 11 other countries worldwide in healthcare infection prevention, which is amazing. So I can't draw a one-to-one line between winning a Queen's Award and leading those markets, but I think definitely it's helped us kind of on that journey. And then I'm sitting in a much bigger office. You can't see this. I didn't pick a very good view to come and sit. I should have picked a more impressive spot. But I'm in a much bigger office. I'm in a much bigger company than I was 5 years ago. And we're looking forward to applying because it's our year to reapply. So I've been looking forward to digging into that this year. Thank you very much.
Adam, thank you. Your enthusiasm really came across there, and that's great. It's good to hear the journey, various journeys you mentioned for that. So thank you indeed. We've got a little bit. I've got a few little bits to run in, but we've got a few more minutes for questions. There's been quite a bit in the chat. If anyone hasn't opened their chat box, there's quite a few, several questions and several tips and help from Bays and others. Last question that's come up is from Helen. Do we know how many companies applied in Hearts in 2022 compared to 2021 for awards? Bays, have you got any statistics with you? I did think we might get a stats question, but I didn't get a chance to look into that. Do you have any thoughts on that one? Will,
thank you, John. I'm just trying to pull up the reports. I have to. So you might have to bear with me.
Don't worry. While you're doing that, thank you, Will. If anyone's got any other questions, please pop them in the chat, which I know you have been doing. Can I just mention Helen from Broxbourne Borough Council? She makes a really good point there about the help and assistance there, and indeed from Amanda regarding the grant scheme for consultancy. And as I think we've heard from three speakers, indeed everyone else on this call, on this webinar, that there is an awful lot of help and support out there. And while we're on that topic, Jeremy mentioned at the very beginning the workshops that Hearts Chamber will be running for the Queen's Awards. We don't actually have a date yet, but it will be sometime in July. We've got a really packed programme over the summer, but it will be sometime in July. We will be sending those dates out, and do keep checking the Hearts Chamber website as well. See, Will is still pondering away there trying to get his figures, so I'll leave him to it. Do you think at this stage, while everybody's still on, while we're waiting for any more questions, I'll do Will's answer. Georgia, one of my colleagues, would like to take a snapshot of everybody, please, for social media. So Georgia, are you happy to take over and direct people accordingly for a quick shot?
Yes, please. So if everyone is happy to get in the picture, please do leave your webcam on. Otherwise, please do turn it off, and you won't be shown. So I will just count to 3. We'll probably do it a couple of times just to make sure everyone's in it. So we will make a start. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. And we'll do one more with the next page. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Georgia. Okay, a couple of other things. Well, first of all, what can I say about, so we're seeing more questions coming up, but you've got great opportunities now and indeed going forward. Bays, really, as you saw, a really friendly, helpful team there. They'll answer any queries for you. The 3 previous winners. If I can just say many thanks, of course, to Her Majesty Lord Lieutenant Robert Voss for saying a few words of encouragement, which I hope has inspired everybody, to Mark and Jeremy, to Sarah and Will as well from Bays. Oh, and sorry, it's Jeremy, you've got a question, please. Over to you, Jeremy.
It's about how you can utilize the Queen's Award logo if you're a successful winner. I'm well aware of the flag. I'm well aware of it being on your address, header, email, that kind of thing, letterhead. Question for Will, perhaps. Can you put it on your packaging, and ultimately, can you actually even put it on your product?
You can absolutely put it on your packaging. I'm afraid I'm not entirely sure on product. So I don't believe you can, because obviously it's a product. You can use the emblem for up to 5 years. So I'm not sure, but I know that DPD, for example, won the award a few years ago, and they might be being a slightly bit naughty and still have the emblem on some of their vans. So if you ever have a delivery come to your house, check the van.
But the question about the product was more along the lines of, if you had a product which you actually happen to have your address on, let's say like for example, a medical device, which would need your address, your contact information on, as part of your address and corporate positioning, like a letterhead, you're not necessarily endorsing the product with the Queen's Award logo, you are attaching it to the address. So there's a splitting of hairs there that might be worth looking at.
Of course, I'll look into it, and what I'll do is, I'm currently struggling with our online system, I'm afraid, so I might have to get those stats about 2022, 2021 and 2020 for you and send it out with the rest of the slides, if that's all right, and I'll get clarification on the use of the emblem as well.
Smashing. Well, thank you. That'd be really useful. Thank you. Amanda's put in the chat, can I suggest everyone downloads the chat for contact details, etc. So good point. And if you wish to do so, please do. Just as rounding up then, while Willie's sorting himself out, thank you very much to some of our patrons who've been on the call. That's Borough Broxbourne, CAE Technology Services, KGK Genix, and the University of Hertfordshire. We've also had on the High Sheriff of Hertfordshire, the new High Sheriff of Hertfordshire. So good morning to you, and thank you for joining us. Some upcoming events, if I just plug those. We have a virtual networking opportunity Tuesday, 24th of May, 11 to 12 via Zoom. Details on the website. The Lord Lieutenant mentioned earlier the Hertfordshire County Show. That's Saturday 28th, Sunday 29th of May. Herts Chamber will be hosting a marquee at the show, celebrating the Entrepreneurs Foundation. So please, if you can make time over that weekend, pop in. We'd love to see you there. And finally, summer party, members only, Thursday 30th of June. That's 1800 to 2100 at Sopwell House. I think that's about it. It's very nearly 12 o'clock. I can't believe for the first time ever, I think I finished just about on time. So thank you so much to everybody. And Sarah's put on Queen's Award contact details. Thank you, Sarah. And John Howie. We utilise the logo on all our packaging for international trade. Happy to provide examples if required. And John's very kindly put his contact details there. And that's great. Thank you so much. Oh, and Kate from aforementioned University of Hertfordshire, please get in touch if you want to learn more about our enterprise space at our Hatfield campus, and an email there to get in touch with. That's it from me. Thank you so much indeed to everybody. A packed hour, but so much great information there, so much support, so much knowledge. Thank you again, and look forward to seeing you in forthcoming webinars. And for those that you are going to apply, the very best of luck. Good luck indeed.